Join us on Patreon and become part of our journey to uncover history's untold stories. Your support helps us create in-depth content, bring hidden narratives to life, and keep history alive for everyone.
From the moment Mary conceived Jesus, the world held its breath, waiting for a story that would change history forever. For many, the life of Christ begins in the familiar pages of the canonical Gospels: the manger in Bethlehem, the visit of the Magi, the flight into Egypt. Yet beneath these widely known narratives, preserved quietly for centuries in the monastic libraries of Ethiopia, there exists a far richer, far more intimate account of Jesus' childhood. These hidden Gospels, safeguarded in the Guizi language by Ethiopia's Orthodox Tewahedo Church, illuminate the early years of Christ in ways that expand our understanding of his nature, his miracles, and the extraordinary presence he embodied even as a child. To read these texts is to enter a world where the divine and the mundane overlap, where the miraculous is woven into everyday life, and where the innocence of childhood becomes a stage for cosmic revelation. Ethiopia has long held a unique position in the preservation of Christianity's earliest traditions. While the wider Christian world was engaged in debates over canonical texts and heresies, Ethiopian monasteries quietly protected books that were excluded or lost elsewhere. Among these are the Ethiopic versions of apocryphal works such as the Infancy Gospel of Thomas, the Proto-Evangelium of James, and other texts that detail Jesus' life before his public ministry. These texts, preserved in their original language and often copied with painstaking care, offer a window into how early Christians in Africa and the Near East sought to understand the wonder of Christ's human and divine nature. In Ethiopia, the childhood of Jesus was not an afterthought. It was a living narrative of all moral instruction and divine mystery. The hidden Gospels depict Jesus' childhood as a period of extraordinary intelligence and divine power. Unlike ordinary children, he is portrayed as knowing the law, speaking with wisdom beyond his years, and demonstrating miraculous abilities even in play. In the Ethiopic Infancy Gospel of Thomas, Jesus is shown shaping birds from clay and bringing them to life, a gesture that is at once playful and deeply revelatory, suggesting that even the earliest human acts could manifest divine creativity. Such narratives emphasize that Jesus' divinity was not dormant in his youth but active, shaping the physical and moral order around him. These miracles were not intended merely to astonish, but to reveal the inherent connection between God, creation, and human responsibility. Ethiopia's hidden texts also portray Jesus' interactions with his peers and elders in ways that illuminate his moral and spiritual development. Stories abound of Jesus teaching other children, correcting misunderstandings, and even confronting wrongdoing with clarity and authority. In one account, he warns children who are about to harm each other, demonstrating both compassion and divine authority. In another, he intervenes when a child's misbehavior threatens the harmony of a group, using words and actions that reflect not only wisdom but a profound sense of justice. These accounts are remarkable because they portray the early Jesus not as a distant figure, but as an active, morally conscious presence whose actions shape the social and spiritual environment around him. The hidden Gospels do not shy away from depicting Jesus' human experiences. He feels hunger, fatigue, curiosity, and wonder. Yet even in these ordinary experiences, the texts convey a subtle interplay between humanity and divinity. Jesus' human nature is fully realized, but is always infused with a divine presence that transforms ordinary acts into signs of cosmic significance. When he eats, the text suggests it is not merely sustenance but a demonstration of divine provision. When he sleeps, it is not mere rest but a moment of silent communion with God. The Ethiopian emphasis on the integration of the human and divine in Jesus' childhood provides a theological depth that is often absent from later European retellings of the infancy narratives. One of the most striking features of Ethiopia's hidden Gospels is the detailed attention given to Jesus' family, particularly Mary and Joseph. In these texts, Mary is depicted not only as the mother of the Messiah, but as a teacher, protector, and spiritual guide who nurtures Jesus' divine consciousness without suppressing his human curiosity. Joseph, too, is portrayed as more than a guardian. He is a figure of patience, moral guidance, and practical wisdom who protects Jesus from external threats while allowing him to exercise his miraculous abilities. The relationship between Jesus and his parents, as described in these hidden texts, is intimate and nuanced, highlighting the profound human dimension of the Holy Family. Ethiopian scripture also emphasizes Jesus' encounters with the broader world, even as a child. The hidden Gospels recount journeys to towns and villages, interactions with priests, teachers, and neighbors, and instances in which Jesus' miraculous presence prompts astonishment, fear, and reverence. These stories situate Jesus' childhood within a real historical and cultural context, demonstrating that divine intervention is not abstract but deeply intertwined with the rhythms of ordinary life. The young Jesus is shown navigating social norms, responding to questions, and engaging with the moral complexities of human behavior, all while displaying a profound awareness of his divine mission. Miracles attributed to Jesus' childhood in Ethiopian texts often carry ethical and spiritual significance. For instance, when he heals illnesses, it is not simply to perform wonder, but to teach lessons about compassion, responsibility, and the proper use of divine gifts. When he demonstrates control over nature, it is not for personal benefit but to reveal the underlying order of creation and the intimate relationship between God and the world. These narratives suggest that early Christian communities in Ethiopia understood miracles as tools for moral and spiritual education rather than mere spectacle, reflecting a sophisticated theological and pedagogical framework. The hidden Gospels also address the presence of evil, temptation, and conflict in Jesus' childhood. Stories recount encounters with Satan, demonic forces, and societal corruption, portraying the young Christ as both vulnerable to and triumphant over malevolent influences. These narratives are remarkable in that they present spiritual struggle as part of the formative experience of the Messiah, emphasizing that even divine beings encounter opposition in the material and spiritual realms. Through these stories, Ethiopian tradition teaches that holiness is not the absence of challenge, but the ability to navigate adversity with wisdom, courage, and integrity. Ethiopian texts further illuminate the social, political, and religious environment of Jesus' childhood. The hidden Gospels portray a world marked by Roman rule, Jewish religious authority, and cultural diversity, providing insight into the challenges and influences that shaped the historical Jesus. By situating the child within a rich and complex environment, these texts offer a vivid historical perspective that complements canonical narratives, suggesting that the Messiah's early life was both historically grounded and spiritually extraordinary. Another aspect emphasized in Ethiopia's hidden Gospels is Jesus' relationship with nature. Stories describe the young Jesus interacting with animals, commanding elements, and demonstrating understanding of the natural world. These narratives reflect a worldview in which divine presence is inseparable from creation, portraying the Messiah as deeply attuned to the rhythms and structures of the universe. In these texts, nature itself becomes a classroom for moral, spiritual, and intellectual instruction, further emphasizing the integration of the human, divine, and natural worlds in Ethiopian theology. The hidden Gospels also reveal a deep concern with ethical development during Jesus' childhood. The young Messiah is consistently depicted as exercising judgment, discernment, and mercy. Even as he performs miraculous deeds, he is careful to teach lessons about humility, patience, and moral responsibility. These narratives reflect Ethiopian Christianity's emphasis on holistic formation, the integration of intellect, spirit, emotion, and morality in the cultivation of holiness. Ethiopia's preservation of these texts is historically significant. While much of early Christian literature was lost, censored, or neglected elsewhere, Ethiopian monks copied, translated, and transmitted these works with extraordinary care. This preservation reflects a cultural and religious commitment to maintaining a full account of the life of Christ, including details that other traditions dismissed as legendary, peripheral, or apocryphal. By maintaining these texts, Ethiopian Christianity offers modern readers access to traditions that illuminate the historical and spiritual dimensions of the young Messiah in ways unavailable in most other Christian canons. Theological reflection in Ethiopia also highlights the continuity between Jesus' childhood and his later ministry. The hidden Gospels present early miracles, moral decisions, and spiritual insights as foreshadowing the public work of salvation. This continuity reinforces the idea that the Messiah's life was coherent, purposeful, and directed toward the fulfillment of divine promise. In Ethiopian theology, the childhood of Jesus is not a prelude or anecdote but a foundational period that reveals his character, mission, and relationship with humanity and creation. In conclusion, the hidden Gospels preserved in Ethiopia offer a rich and nuanced portrait of Jesus' childhood. These texts depict a young Messiah who is at once fully human and fully divine, whose miraculous abilities coexist with ordinary experiences, and whose ethical and spiritual development is carefully cultivated by family, community, and divine guidance. Through stories of wonder, instruction, and encounter, Ethiopia's hidden Gospels reveal a childhood deeply intertwined with a moral, spiritual, and cosmic order, offering insights into the nature of the Messiah that challenge and enrich our understanding of early Christianity. The preservation of these texts reflects Ethiopia's extraordinary role in safeguarding ancient Christian literature, offering scholars, believers, and seekers a rare glimpse into the formative years of Christ. The childhood of Jesus, as remembered in Ethiopia, is a story of awe, instruction, and divine presence, a testament to the profound care with which early Christians sought to understand and transmit the life of the one who would change the course of history. To study these hidden texts is not merely to explore legend or apocrypha. It is to encounter a living tradition, a window into the mind and heart of a people who have preserved, for centuries, the sacred memory of Christ's earliest days.